Okay, we're live. We'll call the public hearing to order, and perhaps before we start, we should have a moment of silence for the people that were shot up in Timber Ridge. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And I think it's a single item. Revise the setbacks for the Old Stone Bridge and Victoria Street. The intent to better replicate the extent of the previous setback. Revise Schedule B to align with Section 4.21. And,
Councillor Brown.
oh yes, sorry.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest. This property is my landlord's.
Okay. Let the record show that you declared a conflict. You satisfied that this is properly before council, Mr. Lamy?
Yes, I am, board member.
Okay. Overview by the planner.
All right, good morning, council. So as a reminder, this is, like it says in the title, a tweak or a revision to the setbacks that are in the land use bylaw for the village around the Old Stone Bridge on Victoria Street. The intent here, as it states in the report, is to better reflect the extent of the previous setback that was in place from 2007 when it was first created to 2025 when we did the new plan review, or the new land use bylaw came into effect last spring. Essentially, an applicant, Tristan Mills, on behalf of Gail Smith, approached staff to discuss the changes to the setbacks as a result of the new plan review. And upon his application and then staff review, we essentially agreed with him that a small number of properties very close to adjacent or very close to the Stone Bridge were inadvertently affected by the way that we changed the setback in order to have it mapped and originating from a center point as a circular setback as opposed to the language that used to describe what was effectively an oval shape along the length of the bridge. So when we looked at this, we agreed with him that it was not the intent. We weren't trying to extend those setbacks or to further burden those properties closest, and it actually did have a fairly significant impact on the particular property that he applied for. We didn't do a full analysis on all the other adjacent properties, but I think you could infer that there would be similar, impact on those. Once we had sort of made that determination, we got to work on drafting some amendments in order to, like I said, attempt to put it back as close as possible, but we still did want to keep a map. There didn't used to be a map of this in the bylaw, and we like that visual representation. It's easy to understand for the public to see very clearly easily where they can and cannot build. So we tried to kind of merge the two, the extent of the old setback with the approach we'd taken in the new setback, and the proposed amendments here are the result of that. So this went through the standard planning amendment process. We had a public information meeting. 4 members of the public attended that meeting. There was concern expressed that a larger setback was seen as better, more protection for the bridge. So there were calls to maintain the I'll call it the new setback that came into effect in 2025. We then brought the file to the Village Planning Advisory Committee for discussion with them. Again, there was one member of the public who attended that meeting and spoke at length and essentially proposed a what they felt was a compromise between the previous setback and what was in place in 2025. That was discussed, and VPAC ultimately recommended in favor of that compromise. And so just for clarity here, if we go to page 5, I have an image that shows the 3 different setbacks. I think it's, sorry, page 5, sorry, numbered page 5, it might be different in the, yeah, that one, perfect. So up on the screen here, you'll see three different versions of the setback. The teal or the blue inner oval, that is what staff are recommending. That, to the best of our ability, replicates the previous setback. And just as a reminder, the way the previous setback was worded, it wasn't mapped, was that there was a center line along the bridge, and at any point along that line, you would draw a 15-meter circle. And that's how you get that sort of oval hot dog shape, is you basically take a line and then you're drawing a whole bunch of circles and then just connecting it up into one big shape. And that's what our GIS did for us, thankfully. So the blue is the staff recommendation. The orange or the yellow is the VPAC, I'll call it the compromise recommendation. And then the green hashed circle is what's in place now as of 2025. So you can see, even just for a moment, to just compare the blue to the green, you can see how there was a significant impact on those properties.
Wasn't really the intent.
Which again, wasn't intended. So I think staff are happy with the proposed option here, and that we feel it does better replicate what was there originally. And the other discussion, I guess, that came up in terms of whether the setback should be increased or should be maintained at a larger distance was, the bridge is a provincial bridge, and it's a provincial heritage property. It is not a municipal heritage property, and it's not a municipally owned asset. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no work or studies undertaken by the municipality that would support either increasing or decreasing the setback. I don't think we have that information. We haven't had a request from the province to alter or change this setback. So my caution for increasing the setback or maintaining it as increased would be, what evidence do we have to support that that's necessary? So with that said, so basically those are the three options are there.
Yeah.
To leave it as it is, the compromise or the blue oval. Again, VPAC is recommending the orange or the yellow oval, and I think that's it. The policy analysis has been done. This is just an amendment to the land use bylaw, so there's no policy changes needed. So I've deemed that everything is in compliance here, but happy to take any questions or discussion.
Any questions, anybody? Okay. So the developer, we don't have any presentations. I'd go for comments from the public, but I don't see any public. I'm assuming there aren't any. So we're really at a position of making a decision. So what do we want to do? Motion to accept the recommendation of staff?
I'll move that we accept the record. I just have a question before the motion. if I
Oh, okay,
could.
sure.
So is there, so the recommended from VPAC is the orange?
That's right.
And it's, from what I'm seeing here, it's 5 meters
Larger,
either
right,
way.
that's right.
Is that 5 meters gonna, I just wanted, that was just a compromise for them? Basically?
Yeah, that would be, without wanting to speak for them, I think so,
No.
that's right. There was a member of the public who essentially was in favor of a larger setback.
Oh, okay.
And he came up to the table and there was quite a lengthy discussion. And then following that,
They came
the
up with a
committee
compromise.
picked up on that and agreed with his, at least, proposal.
What are the negative impacts of the, I mean, you're recommending the
Yeah.
blue, so
Yeah.
what would be the,
Well, yeah, so, and then we don't, so this is good discussion. So we do have an applicant for the file, and he's not here this morning. But we do not have a development proposal for the site, and that's an important clarification. So it's not that, so
You aren't
it's
sure
tough
what
to
the
answer.
impact
The orange would take some of the lot area and make it non-developable from the blue, but it would certainly be less than the impact today
Sure.
of the larger circle. So, again, I don't want to speak for him. I think that they might see that as an improvement, but also question
whether they can do
why
what
are
they
we
want.
increasing it? Right.
Okay. Andre, I think you were next. Oh, Sharon was?
Yeah, thank you. I just had a question on, could this potentially impact the view plane from the water or from driving by? If, I don't know what potential proposal would be on that property. I assume it's planned to be some kind of a house, or they wouldn't be concerned about it.
Yeah, so it is zoned presumably for residential, that would be what we would expect there, and this, the subject lot was subdivided out of an original lot, and the other two lots have been developed, so presumably, yes, this, at some point in the future, this would be, whether it's the current owner or a new owner, is likely to see residential development.
It's not gonna change much.
In terms of the view plane question, fair point. It certainly could have an impact depending on where the building has gone. I would say that we do not have any policies on view plane protection. So if council's interested in that, that's something we can certainly explore. And it typically, view planes are from public places, so Citadel Hill has measured out angles where, so from between such and such to such and such, you can't build above a certain height to protect the view plane from Citadel Hill to the you know,
We don't
the
own
other
any
forts and
public
the
property.
historical sites, so that would be, you know, a study or something we would want to undertake if there were particular views in and around the village or the larger municipality that we wanted to look, but, yeah, so.
And you would want policy to
Yes.
identify
Why
what
it is
view
you're
you're
Exactly,
protecting.
what they were, why they are, and then actually have detailed
Very more
regulations to go
complex
with that.
matter.
So we don't have anything at this point, because I
Nothing, yeah.
remember back when a boathouse went in the back harbor, that it was extremely controversial for some, because it
Yes.
did certainly take away a view, which a lot of people were very used to. But it was allowed and it went ahead.
Now that, we're getting a little off topic, but happy
I
to
know
go into
we
it. So
are.
that is, so the way that particular structure was built would no longer be possible. Boathouses are now only permitted up to the high water mark. So that was there was a zone that used to exist out into the water.
And it
that's
had
not-
particular policy
Right.
around that.
Right, yeah, so that particular piece wouldn't, but the question of view planes is still a fair one, I think. Yeah.
Who's next?
Councillor.
Yeah, Andre?
Thank you. The purported purpose of this bylaw is to protect the stone bridge. Although, from what we can see and what staff have been able to find, there's never been a report by the municipality or the province or any private interest that building a house or whatever lawful development would actually negatively impact the bridge in any way.
No.
So the discussion today is about trying to clearly define this setback, which honestly, it would appear that was never required in the first place. If we're being really honest about what its purpose is, that we probably didn't need ever a setback to protect the bridge, because the owners of the bridge, who are responsible for its heritage designation and its maintenance, have never, ever approached us or asked us or wanted any of this. And we have no submission from them.
Yeah.
So, you know, view planes or whatever, you know, that's irrelevant to me at this point. I think what we want to talk about is so-called protecting this bridge, which I don't know if this helps or doesn't help, but I would think that a fully loaded concrete truck would do a lot more to this bridge, which is permitted every day. You bring 30 of them across every day with no problem. That would be permitted. And building a house, I don't see how that would affect
Across the
anything.
street, no.
The proponent is okay with the smallest setback, which is the recommendation of staff. You know, and if it weren't for that, I would be pushing to remove this restriction altogether. But since the proponent is actually okay with it, I'm gonna move that we accept the recommendation of staff and move forward with this process so that we can put this behind us.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Well, that's the only item on the agenda, people. So I would move that we adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Now, we have one